Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Tanya from Baby J'adore. For those who are already subscribed, thank you. And for those who are new, welcome. All right, let's just jump right into this video. This video is all about breastfeeding challenges because there are a gazillion of them. I'm gonna jump right into it and start with pain. One of the challenges why women stop breastfeeding, or one of the reasons why women stop breastfeeding, and I say this with confidence is because I was one of those women, is pain. Pain is real. Two types of pain. One, you just gave birth to a whole human being, whether it's a C-section or whether it's vaginal? Yeesh. See, there goes my Canadian accent. Whether it's a vaginal delivery, there you go. You are in pain. You are absolutely in pain. You are uncomfortable. You are exhausted. And so, like, who wants to breastfeed? Who wants to have somebody on your breast every 2 to 3 hours, right? So I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of women stop breastfeeding, is because they are in pain and uncomfortable. The solution to that, and I'm gonna tell you, if you come a little closer, deal with it. You just gave birth to a whole human being. You are going to be in pain. Now, the pain may differ, right? From, a 0 out of 10, 2 out of 10 in terms of pain, but you're going to be in pain. And so there's no way around it. We are going to be in pain, but you're going to be okay. I don't think it's a reason enough to stop breastfeeding. At least it wasn't for me. I was uncomfortable. I had a natural birth, no medication, felt all the contractions, but I still wanted to breastfeed because I knew that the benefits outweighed my pain. The benefits of breastfeeding outweighed my pain. And so I pushed through. I was uncomfortable. I tore to the second degree. I was in pain for a month and a half, but I still pushed through and I still continued with breastfeeding. The second type of pain, and I think this is where it gets a lot of moms, is the pain that the baby gives you. What I mean by that is, in the beginning, nobody knows how to breastfeed. Nobody knows where to put a baby, how to put the baby on the breast, etc. What you need to do when you're in the hospital, speak with a lactation consultant. You want to speak to her, ask her all the questions. Anybody that knows me knows I ask all the questions. It is super, super important for you to get as much knowledge as you can while you're in the hospital. So for me, I spoke to a lactation consultant, and when we initially started breastfeeding, she showed me several positions. She told me that, there's a tingling sensation, there's a pinching sensation in the beginning, but it shouldn't hurt you throughout the whole breastfeeding session. And so going home, I knew that, hey, if it's, painful for like 5-8 minutes, okay, I'm doing something wrong, let me reposition the baby. We went over positions at the hospital, so I was comfortable maneuvering the baby around my breast, etc. So two types of pain, the pain from the birth and the pain from the baby. And how you deal with that is, one, you deal with it because the first pain, you can't go around it. And the second pain is really knowing and talking to a lactation consultant, or even a friend who has been, who has had a positive experience with breastfeeding. The second reason I think women stop breastfeeding, and again, I'm speaking generally, but those are some of the reasons why I definitely said to myself, like, oh, do I want to continue? And then I ended up continuing. So the second one is lack of resources. A lot of people don't know that there is a plethora of information on the internet, in your communities, on social media networks for breastfeeding. So one that I can think of right now is the La Leche League. They have a gazillion resources. It's a phenomenal website if you need some information about breastfeeding, the hows and the do's, etc. And then I know there are a lot of Facebook groups that talk about breastfeeding, a lot of support groups for breastfeeding. So I think what you need to do is really just get yourself out there, do your research, look up breastfeeding support groups, look up even in your neighborhood. If you have, I know I have a couple of neighbors who have recently gave birth, and we text and we exchange information about breastfeeding. I have a good girlfriend who lives in another state, and she's breastfeeding. We kind of gave birth around the same time. I have another girlfriend back home who again gave birth recently. So we text, we email, we text, and we exchange information to say, hey, did you go through this? You know, is my nipple looks like this? Is this normal? What's on my nipple? You know, just finding some type of network. Find some way somehow to find resources about breastfeeding. So the third reason why I think a lot of women stop breastfeeding is lack of support. So there is a difference between lack of resources and lack of support. Even though they kind of go hand in hand, I really do think they're two different entities. When I say lack of support, is immediate lack of support. So if your family is against breastfeeding, and they just have a negative connotation about breastfeeding, chances are you are most likely going to stop breastfeeding. I say this because I had the opposite experience. Eric was super supportive with breastfeeding. He definitely helped me when I wanted to breastfeed. He pushed me, he motivated me, he helped me really to recoup and rest in between feeds. He would change the diapers, he would let me sleep in between feeds. You know, he would take care of all the other stuff because he knew how exhausting and how taxing breastfeeding is. It literally is. You're literally like giving all your fluid away to this baby, and he's attached to the breast every 2 to 3 hours. It is exhausting, on top of recuperating from a delivery. And so if your partner or your family members are for breastfeeding, or not even for breastfeeding, support you in the decision of breastfeeding, you will most likely continue to do so, right? If you have your personal cheerleaders, you will continue to breastfeed. Again, you know, I just want to say that I'm not against formula. You have to do what is best for you and your family, and for you and your baby. This video is purely to talk about the challenges and how to address them, right? And the pursuit of continuing to breastfeed. Now, the fourth and the last reason why I personally think women stop breastfeeding, and I've seen this firsthand being a nurse, working in the NICU, mom thinks the baby doesn't get enough milk, or you think that you're not giving your baby enough milk. And the reason being is that we can't see how much milk the baby is getting, right? Versus a bottle, you give him a bottle, we know, okay, good, he got 2 ounces. I feel better in my mind. I feel better. I know my baby is satisfied. Whereas breastfeeding, you kind of hope and pray that the baby is satisfied. I think a lot of women in the beginning think that they have to give 2-3 ounces to their babies. But in the beginning, babies, they're small. Their stomachs are very small. They need a very little amount of breast milk. And so if you know that, and I think that kind of goes back to speaking to a lactation consultant, doing your research, you know that in the beginning, the baby doesn't need a lot of breast milk. And so thinking that you don't have enough breast milk for your baby can be a reason why you stop breastfeeding. But again, it goes back to education, it goes back to research, it goes back to speaking to someone who is knowledgeable and who will tell you, no, don't worry about it. You have more than enough breast milk for your baby. And so to me, those are the top four reasons why I think women stop breastfeeding or are a little discouraged about breastfeeding. And of course, there are a multitude of reasons, like having mastitis, which is like a breast infection. That's definitely a good reason to stop breastfeeding. I've personally never had a breast infection. I heard it's really painful, so I can see why one would be discouraged to breastfeed. But again, seek help, seek people who know more about breastfeeding than you. There are ways to maintain breastfeeding. And truly and honestly, I wanted to breastfeed. There are 2 reasons why that are up there that I really wanted to breastfeed. One, it's free. It is free 99. That's just it. To me, it's a no-brainer. Oh, it's free? Because formula is not cheap. It is not cheap. It's just not. And so breastfeeding was definitely like, okay, we're going to breastfeed because it's free. College is expensive, so if I can take some of this formula money and put it away for your college funds, that's what we're going to do. And then the second one, obviously, actually probably should have been the first reason, is really the health benefits for breastfeeding. If you do your research, you know how amazing breast milk is, how beneficial the breast milk contents are for your baby, right? And again, I am not against formula. Please don't feel insulted if you weren't able to breastfeed, etc., etc. I am personally saying these are the reasons why I think moms stop breastfeeding, and these are the reasons why, or these are some of the solutions we can take to kind of counter avoid that. And so those are really like my top two reasons to like continue breastfeeding, is really because it's free and because the health benefits are out of this world. So just to recap, pain, lack of resources, lack of support, and thinking that you're not giving enough milk to your baby. Those are the 4 reasons I think women stop breastfeeding. But again, there are ways around it. Seek help, seek resources, do your research. And, you know, at the end of the day, if it does not work out, if it's not something for you, then it's fine. You know, don't let anybody pressure you in, you know, one way or the other. Again, I just want to repeat that this video is not against formula-fed babies or formula, you know, or moms who gave their babies formula. It is not about that. It's really about the trials and tribulations of breastfeeding, because it's not easy, but it's rewarding. It's really rewarding. And so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And ask me any questions. Like, comment, and subscribe. Ask me anything you want about breastfeeding. I'm here to help. Bye. See you next time.